we got to do the right thing here. That's number one. And I applaud President Trump for taking his time. He's trying to get the Iranians to surrender without U.S. military power. That is a good thing. That is the right thing to do. And that's the key. Always do the right thing. That's not that easy. The right thing was removing Saddam Hussein, and we did that. But it led to horror because our follow-up was to occupy Iraq, try to make it to a democracy, and it just didn't work. So you can do the right thing and still screw it up. Here, to his credit, again, President Trump's taking his time trying to get these nukes out of there without blowing up the world, figuratively, okay? I mean, literally, we're going to blow up a mountain if we decide to use air power and destroy their nuclear facility. But you know that after that happens, there's going to be stuff that's not good. So the president would rather have the mullahs surrender, and he still believes a chance for that. Most people don't. The odds are that they won't surrender. Saddam Hussein didn't do it. He didn't even have weapons of mass destruction. He was such a loon. Okay, so what about the American people? Well, they are supporting the president in the Iran campaign. Roll the tape.
And overall, I feel like there's more support for Donald Trump's positions than is comically acknowledged. Oppose Iran getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, look at this. 79% of adults agree on that. They agree with Donald Trump. Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. 83% of Republicans, 79% of independents, 79% of Democrats. When you get 79% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans agreeing on anything, you know that that position is the very clear majority in this country. And so the American public is with Donald Trump. They definitely oppose Iran getting nuclear weapons.
Okay, but then the question becomes, how do you stop it? So the Washington Post, which is solely in business to advance progressive causes, it's not a newspaper, it's a journal. It's a progressive left journal. So they do this very strange poll. Listen to this closely. So the Washington Post says, their headline is 45% of Americans are against potential U.S. strikes in Iran. Okay? 45% against military action, according to Washington Post. Well, how did they get that number? So they took a text message poll, not a scientific poll. They texted people, and they got the data from an operation called SSRS Opinion. I don't know what that is. But if you got a text from the Washington Post and you're a conservative or even a moderate, chances are you're not going to answer it because you don't like them, right? So they're texting people, hoping people will reply, and some people did, but my hypothesis is 90% of them were left, and they don't want military action. Okay, so we look at that poll, we look at the headline, and the press grabs it. Oh, 45% don't want military action. What about a scientific poll? I have one. This comes out of Rasmussen, okay? And here's question number one. Would you support or oppose military action by the United States to destroy Iran's nuclear weapons program? Support 57, oppose 30%. So there's a 15-point gap for the Washington Post push poll and the Rasmussen poll. And this is what I mean by propaganda. So the Washington Post puts this out, and then the left-wing media pushes this. Rasmussen puts out very, very little reportage. So you at home think, well, most people don't, oppose. They don't. They don't. And this is my job now, to filter through all this propaganda for you. So last night I was on News Nation. It was the three Americans, Stephen A. Smith, Cuomo, and O'Reilly. And then we added James Carville. Now, Carville is a very dedicated Democrat, right? I think that's accurate. He's very, very rarely dissents. He yells at progressives once in a while when they're just insane, but he is really involved with that party. He makes money. He can consult. So he puts forth, this is all Trump's fault. Carville. He says that if Trump didn't get out of the Iran nuke deal that Obama made, that everything would be fine. This is just not true. All right, so let's run Carville first, and then I'll back it up. Go.
It was widely assumed when he pulled out, and I think correctly, that Iran was in compliance. That is in error. There were inspectors in Iran at the time.
Okay, so that's not true. Here's what I said. Number one, the Iranians cheated on the Obama deal. Everyone knew it. That's why Trump pulled out. Okay. Number two, 79% of the American people, according to CNN today, supports preventing Iran from getting a nuke. And number three, Stephen, and this is most important, the Muellers don't deny they have the nuclear capacity. They just say, we're going to use it for peaceful purposes. Okay, so how did the Iranians cheat on the Obama deal? Now, you remember that we had an investigative report. I wrote a column on it that said that Barack Obama, while president, made a nuke deal with the Muellers, and he gave the Muellers $1.3 billion to sign the deal, including $400 million in suitcases in cash on a private plane flown to Tehran in the middle of the night, and nobody knew about it. Okay? Just that's the setup. So here's what the Muellers did. The Obama nuke deal was the Iranians could only have 4% enriched uranium at 4%. By the time the deal collapsed and Trump was president, Iranians were enriching uranium at a rate of 60%, 6 zeros. Also, they were not allowing the UN weapons inspectors in. They were holding them up time after time, just like Saddam Hussein did. There were no Americans in there. So the president of the United States signs a deal, a nuke deal with Iran, but there's no U.S. verification. That sound like a good deal to you? But Trump said it was ridiculous. Threw it out. But according to Carville and the Democratic Party, this is all Trump's fault. There would be no problem with Iranian nukes had Trump kept the Obama deal. Now, do you believe that? Please. If you believe that, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, and you can contact your liberal friends too. And you just send me a couple of paragraphs on why you would believe that. Okay, so now I'm giving you the facts. I'm telling you what happened. Now, Carville doesn't lie, in my opinion, known him a long time, but he believes what he wants to believe. That's what he wants to believe, that it's Trump's fault. Everything's Trump's fault. So he's not going to do what I did, and I didn't do it myself, but my staff, and it's good. You know, I said, look, find out what the true story was, and boom, it comes back, and I can tell you. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.